The United Nations has developed sustainable development goals for countries throughout the world. But how can we measure progress for these goals? Enter the Bertelsmann Stiftung, which has developed the Sustainable Development Goals Index to keep track of just such progress. I recently spoke with Bertelsmann Stiftung CEO Aart De Geus about the importance of this project. So we are here today with the chairman and CEO of the Bertelsmann Stiftung, Mr. Aart De Geus. Through your eyes, what does this SDG Index project represent, and why is it so important?
It is important because we see two major shifts in the world's thinking of where to go. Number one, we see that it is not only prosperity and economy that we look forward to, we also look now more at the sustainability as the broader goal and objective of policy making and the direction in which society should go. Number two, we have the legitimacy that the United Nations altogether agreed on a set of indices. What would that mean if we would go in the direction of sustainability? And then we as Bertelsmann Stiftung, together with the Sustainable Solutions Network, we said, let's make an index, let's make a dashboard, let's make an impression where countries stand in order to reach these objectives. But the major thing is that we shift from not only prosperity and economy to sustainability, and that we have a universal legitimacy to work on this.
Now, what does it mean for development to be sustainable, and what's the risk if it's not?
Let me start with the risk. If it is not, we would see that parts of society would not come along in this development. I can illustrate it with an example. We see that we have in Europe, we have all-time high records when it comes to income per capita, all-time high records in longevity, in level of education, etc. But when we see that on average that is true, if large parts of societies are not coming with that, are not lifting that tide, then that comes with instability and also, of course, with a moral issue, whether or not people should have chances. So instability can come. And another huge challenge, of course, is that if we do not include environmental objectives in the economic agenda, then we would make profit until the moment that we all are gone or underwater. So it comes with huge risks, but the problem thus far was that these risks are in the far away. So what we try to do is with this Sustainable Development Index is that we get a glimpse so that we can translate where we stand now to what we have to do now. And in order to do that, we have developed these indices and we have collected data, and we benefit from the cooperation with the Sustainable Development Solutions Network. But for us as a Bertelsmann Stiftung, this is a real important project to support that change towards sustainability.
Now, you mentioned this data collection, and in fact the project does produce a tremendous amount of information. How can these numbers be interpreted? What are these numbers telling us?
Well, these numbers are telling us that when it comes to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which are broken down in detailed sub-objectives and goals, that when we look at all the countries that are members of the United Nations, that even the countries that are supposed to be on top of that list have huge challenges. So nobody's perfect. There is no example of a country that is doing well in all aspects. And here it might be that some countries like the Scandinavian are doing well on this, but then they're doing not so well on that. In Europe, the sustainability of the agricultural economy is quite an issue. What we see also is that inequality is quite an issue, that youth unemployment is quite an issue. So there is no country that is perfect. So the time is over that there is a part of the world doing well and others to follow. We are now entering in a phase that we say, oh, wow, everybody has to take these development goals serious. And if we want to go towards sustainability, then we all have to act. So this is a message to all countries, not just for the developing, like the Millennium Development Goals, but it is these Sustainable Development Goals have an added value and have a call for action for all countries, including the West.
What does it mean for the Bertelsmann Stiftung to have the opportunity to collaborate with somebody like Dr. Jeffrey Sachs?
Well, it is a great honor to have a cooperation with such a high qualified and high estimated person. And he, of course, brings his expertise and his intellect. But on the other hand, we also could bring some of our pioneering on the methodology. And what is also a great advantage is that we both are kind of independent. So we are non-governmental organizations. And what we see is that after the United Nations agreed on the system, that the governments hesitate to measure them in an official way. Because if they do it in an official way, then it is quasi-binding, huh? And they hesitate to do that. So for us, it is quite important to have a cooperation with Jeffrey Sachs and his team, and our team, who was pioneering on the methodology, to bring something forward that is neutral in its perspective. We don't have an own agenda. The only thing is that we want to support the process that the United Nations started.
Mm-hmm. One more question for you. We're very excited to have this rollout of some of this new data today. I'm curious if you have a more overall objective for this project, and what could be some next steps for what we do with this, as we mentioned, tremendous amount of data that has been collected.
Yeah, well, this is a very good question. We are very happy that today we can launch the first report that is global. Last year we did a stress test for OECD countries, which was quite a wake-up call for OECD countries, but now we have the global picture. What we hope is that in 3 years' time, also with the help of the comments that we will get, that we can establish something that is a kind of a standard, so that it can be an instrument not only for governments, but also for academics, for business, for civil society, and for other actors who want to push in that direction of sustainability. And once we have developed that instrument as a standard, and that it is, that it is stable, and it is enabling the actors to do what they have to do, then we will move forward to other projects, and then we would be very happy.
There you have it. Mr. De Geus, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you.